And so I looked it over and calculated where I thought I should be, made the cuts, backed away to the clear, or at least total clear, but I didn't get very far.
I want to welcome you back again for another story answering the question, is God active? Today I'm here with Leon St. Onge, a longtime family friend who spent over 40 years working in an industry that's known as the #1 most dangerous job in North America. Leon, tell us what happened, tell us how you got into it, and tell us the story that you want to share today.
Well, many years ago, some college guys had a job making heliport landings north of Vancouver, and I was with them. And we had a job. Most of us didn't know nothing about chainsaws. And they said, well, who's going to run the chainsaw? So they said, well, let's pull straws. And guess what? I got the straw for running a chainsaw, which I didn't even hardly know how to start. And I proceeded to fall a tree, and it fell on where I wanted to go accidentally, but it ricocheted off a cliff, went careening down the mountain. I said, wow, this is fun. This is exciting. I think I like this.
What year was that?
That would have been somewhere in 1965.
1965, okay.
And then after that, my hands were on the saw. Most of the time, anytime I could get a saw and I could cut trees down, I was learning for the year or two first. Yeah. And one of the first jobs that I worked, and a year or two after, I was working with we always had falling partners. And my falling partner was very quiet, so I decided to go and see what's going on there. So I couldn't hear no noise, and I didn't want to walk in making a lot of noise, so I wouldn't hear if a tree is coming down. Usually a tree comes down, it makes a noise. I was really quiet and snuck in there. And I seen him by a log as I got there, praying. Oh, the light bulb went on. I said, man, it's a dangerous job. This might be a good practice. So then I started praying just before I went to work. Not much of a prayer, but, you know. And for all through the years that I'd fell, I made a practice of, kneeling down, having a quick little prayer.
So tell us about the day that you prayed and God did something in the wintertime.
Well, it was, it was a snowy winter, probably 5 feet of snow, or a little more, and snowshoeing around with snowshoes and working in a deep snow. It was pretty, pretty intense at times, but I was a lot younger than I am now. And I wasn't scared of anything. The good Lord protected me many times. So I went in to fall these trees along a trail that had been pushed in 5 feet of snow. And all the trees didn't go down. Some were leaning into this tree, and then a few other leaning into the ones that are leaning.
Okay, so just kind of crisscrossed in each other?
Well, when they pushed the trail, they're all the same. Mostly leaning the direction of the trail on one side. And so I looked it over and calculated where I thought I should be, made the cuts, backed away to the clear, or at least total clear, but I didn't get very far because all the snow that was still up in the trees started coming down like a big avalanche. It was a total whiteout, I mean, and I couldn't see nothing. And I thought I was in the clear when all of a sudden I heard this voice. It sounded like it was right within, I could reach and touch the person. And it said, move over. I thought to myself, first thing that hit my mind, what? There's nobody within a half a mile. I can't even hear the machinery at the landing. And I was just shocked, like, who's this? And so I paused there for a second, and then I heard the voice again, move over. And I did. I moved back, and with snowshoes and 5 feet of snow, I didn't go very far, a couple of feet, 1.5 feet or something like that. And right about then, I felt something brush my shoulder. And as the snow cleared, I looked down, and here was this tree right where I was standing. So I wouldn't be here telling you this story if I hadn't moved over.
Wow. There's a text in the Bible, and it comes out of Psalms chapter 91, verses 1 and 2, and then verse 11. And this is what the Bible says. It says, "He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God, in Him I will trust." In verse 11 it says, "For he will give his angels charge over you to keep you in all your ways." Leon's 81 years old, and he worked in that industry for over 40 years, and every day in that industry, your life and death is a reality. You might not always realize it, but it was. So for some of us, that's not the case. We don't maybe work in the number one most dangerous job in North America, or maybe somewhere in the world where you work. We have, maybe it's just, not so serious. But the actual reality is that we each need a refuge. And I want to ask you a question and then a challenge. And my question is, do you trust the Creator God? Or do you trust your own resources? Now, Leon learned something when he watched his friend early on in his life, when he watched his friend kneeling at that tree stump praying, realizing, this is quite a dangerous job. So do you trust your own resources or do you trust the Creator God? And my challenge is, today is a good day to start. Ask the Lord to be Lord of your life. And join us next week as we continue to answer the question, is God active?